Welcome to the ValueFacturing SMEs podcast series, a production by the European Digital SME Alliance in collaboration with Fondazione Adapt and Adapt as part of the ValueFacturing SMEs, fostering SMEs' competitiveness in manufacturing global value chains through social dialogue project, co-funded by the European Union.
Welcome to the final episode of ValueFacturing SMEs podcast series. I'm Jamie Nuttall, and today we're wrapping up this series by discussing how social dialogue and collective bargaining shape global value chains, or GVCs, with insights from leading organisations like ILO, Industrial, Global, and the OECD. In an interconnected world, global value chains allow companies to spread production across countries, leveraging specialized skills and lower costs. But this model also generates risks, particularly for SMEs and for workers in lower chain tiers. Social dialogue and collective bargaining can address these risks by setting labour standards and establishing a present voice for all stakeholders in GVC governance. One example comes from Industrial, Global, a federation of trade unions representing workers worldwide. Industrial advocates for binding global framework agreements, GFAs, that set minimum labour standards across GVCs. These agreements ensure that all sections of the chain uphold basic protections, such as fair wages and safe working conditions, no matter where operations are based. By negotiating these agreements with multinational companies, Industrial supports GVCs that don't compromise on labour rights for the sake of cost-cutting. Collective bargaining within GVCs goes beyond individual companies, as it often requires sectoral or industry-wide approaches to ensure that standards are upheld across borders. According to the OECD, collective bargaining at a sectoral level is crucial in harmonizing labor standards and reducing inequalities within global supply chains. By promoting fair wages and safe working conditions, sectoral agreements can protect workers and help SMEs compete on quality rather than solely on cost. The ILO has also been vocal about the importance of social dialogue in strengthening corporate social responsibility, CSR, within GVCs. For instance, the ILO suggests that effective social dialogue can bring together governments, employers, and workers to negotiate solutions that are both sustainable and fair. This collaboration helps companies not only to uphold labour standards but also to foster long-term operational stability, which ultimately benefits employers by creating a more committed workforce and reducing turnover. One of the key challenges in GVCs is that companies often operate across different regulatory environments, a condition that makes it difficult to enforce consistent standards, especially when large corporations outsource labour-intensive tasks to countries with lower labour protections. To address this, global framework agreements, as promoted by both Industrial and the ILO, play an essential role. These agreements are negotiated directly with multinational corporations and outline clear expectations for labour practices across their entire supply chain. They not only protect workers but also enhance the company's reputation by demonstrating a commitment to ethical standards. A respondent from our field research emphasised that binding agreements provide a foundation of trust, ensuring that labour standards are met consistently throughout GVCs, from manufacturing hubs to supplier factories. This underscores the need for legally enforceable standards rather than voluntary codes, which, as noted by the OECD, often fall short without the enforcement provided by social partners and worker representation. From the perspective of employers, social dialogue and collective bargaining are not just compliance tools. They also have strategic advantages. Engaging in social dialogue can help businesses develop a skilled and adaptable workforce, especially as the digital transition is gaining momentum in manufacturing. According to the OECD, Companies that invest in workforce development through social dialogue and collective agreements are better positioned for innovation. Institutions such as chambers of commerce also play a critical role by providing SMEs with resources and training to navigate the complexities of GVCs. By supporting social dialogue, chambers help SMEs understand regulatory requirements, develop CSR strategies, and connect with potential partners. This is possible for smaller firms to engage in GVCs even when they lack the resources to manage these challenges alone. These initiatives align with the OECD's call for inclusive GVCs that provides opportunities for SMEs to grow sustainably while upholding fair labour standards. Looking forward, the ILO, OECD, and other international organisations advocate for stronger social dialogue mechanisms at multiple levels: local, national, and international. The ILO emphasises that transnational bargaining systems such as the European Works Council allow companies and unions to address GVC-related issues across borders, harmonising labour standards and providing a platform to negotiate conditions that protect all workers involved. This approach prevents a race to the bottom on labour costs, where companies might otherwise seek to reduce wages and standards in pursuit of lower prices. As one research participant stated, social dialogue acts as the glue that binds ethical practices within GVCs, making it possible to balance cost pressures with respect for workers' rights. This reflects a growing shift in GVCs, where companies are encouraged not only to consider short-term gains, but also to foster sustainable practices that respect workers' dignity and contribute to a fairer global economy. In conclusion, shaping global value chains through social dialogue and collective bargaining isn't just about compliance. It's about building resilient, ethical, and sustainable supply chains. When SMEs and workers are supported through these mechanisms, they can contribute more effectively to GVCs, benefiting both their businesses and the broader economy. Thank you for listening to our podcast as we explored the complexities of global value chains and the crucial role of fair practices. This series, brought to you by the European Digital SME Alliance in partnership with Fondazione Adapt and Adapt as part of the ValueFacturing SMEs project, highlights the importance of social dialogue in creating a more equitable world. Until next time.